Welcome to Repairing the Shattered with Sharon Hicks, the very first video edition. This is exciting, huh?
It is. I'm very excited about this.
If you happen to be in our lobby where we play podcasts on our TV screen, welcome. Help yourself to some snacks. We're glad to have you here. One of us will be with you shortly, whoever you're here to see will be with you shortly, I'm sure. Speaking of clients and speaking of the work that we do, you do a lot of work with relationships. That's kind of your thing, right? That's one of the things that you're really, really good at. And you offer all kinds of modalities, but one of the things you really like doing is intensives. Tell us what an intensive is first.
So an intensive is a longer period of time over the course of 1, 2, or 3 days where I will bring a couple in, a family in, individuals in, to really dive deep into understanding the nature of what's happening in the relationship. So it's really an opportunity for people to unplug from life, unplug from distractions, and really focus on themselves and their relationship.
So when people are in a relationship, we talk about the 7-year itch. That's a thing people talk about. And I think it's usually supposed to mean that after you've been in a relationship for 7 years, you get a little squirrely. Is that real? Is that a thing? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I think it's a way that we've kind of coined, hey, there's a little bit of something that shifts in our relationships after we've kind of been in them for a little while. There's this felt sense of something's different. And oftentimes I get couples when it feels not so much like an itch, but like sandpaper or something has broken and we've been trying to fix it for a while on our own and we really can't do it anymore. So to simplify it a little bit, there's this new love stage where we met someone, we are taken by them in some way. There's a resonance that we really want to get to know them. And so within that new phase, there's a lot of communication, there's intentionality, there's ways that we engage and are really curious about wanting to get to know the other person, and establishing a connection. So it's a natural place where we are really growing and learning more about ourselves and more about this person. And it fills us with all kinds of good feelings as we're becoming more connected.
And that moves us into an established phase.
Right. So as we move from different stages in our relationships, we go from like this more intensity of like, ooh, this is feeling really good, to realizing we actually do have to like work and have responsibilities and we can't spend all of our time doing what we did. So we transition into more of, hey, how do we want our relationship to work? What are our schedules? How are we going to do life together? For some that, involves joining into a long-term partnership or moving in together or seeing each other a couple of times a week. Like whatever that looks like for you, there's this established way of doing life that happens naturally as you move from like this new and like really closely connected to, actually we both are individuals doing life. So we realize a new rhythm that needs to be established.
And then at some point in that new rhythm, something happens. A crisis of some kind.
Crisis of some kind. I've like to call them and coin them this catalyst of change. Sounds a little bit more gentle, like this idea that, hey, something is different. Something has shifted. Sometimes it's outside of our control. And sometimes it's maybe something that we actually are aware is coming and that we've planned and that we're excited about, and yet it impacts us, like a new birth or a move or job change. So it's not a bad thing. When we say crisis, often we feel this like, ooh, something's wrong, something happened, but it could be something that we've agreed to that's like, hey, this is actually a really positive thing. And it also comes with some unintended consequences or transitions that we really were not prepared to face in the way that we're needing to.
So when that happens, when this catalyst of change or this crisis moment occurs, that is probably a really good time, if you haven't already, reached out for help. But what happens usually?
Yeah, so then there's the sense of something feels lost. We kind of lose connection. There's more conflict. We don't really know. There's fear that comes into the room in some way, and we can kind of get into these patterns where once we were reaching and reconnecting and it was really positive form, and we forget those parts and we can go into self-protect mode where our partner might still be reaching, but we're feeling more activated and we're feeling more distressed. And we're kind of interpreting them almost as like, ooh, something's wrong. It feels like conflict. We like to avoid conflict. But like in any stage, like when we're in a relationship or in a group, the more we know someone, conflict isn't something to be avoided. It's something for us to like lean into and to grow from. And a lot of couples I see didn't really get a good blueprint for how to navigate that. So I really try to normalize that this elusive sense of what we had has been lost makes a lot of sense and validate that. I think it's really interesting, when we get into this disconnected place where it feels elusive, we just feel a sense of disconnection and distance. We'll try all kinds of strategies to get back to find each other. And I was with a couple just this past week, and it's actually true for a lot of couples in my room where, maybe they've been in a relationship for 15, 20, even 30 years and really have never had a map to establish how to find connection again after going through some of these crises. And they just build and build and build. And we really had a significant breakthrough where it was actually quite moving, where these aha moments come into the room. And I'm asked, like, where were you? We wish we would have found you 15 years ago. We wish we would have known this before we laid all of this other footing in our relationship. And in that moment, there's like this tender part, because it's like where we were isn't where we are now. And there's a lot of healing that can happen. And we also have this awareness of like, we can actually move towards something different and find a new way of being and use this as an opportunity for change while also repairing some of those past storylines. And I think a lot of couples are afraid to look back because we can't change the past. The exciting part for me is that we actually can rewire and re-update that operating system and find a place of secure connection again. We can understand our story and understand kind of how and why things kind of went into that place of distance, so that we actually have a way through that and can continue to really be in that space of really liking to be around each other again, establishing new ways of being and new ways of engaging in our relationship.
And the sense of security and safety.
Yeah. Security and safety, knowing that we know that we are seen and known and loved and cared for, and that the bids that we're sending, the ways that we're engaging, are coming from a place of care and connection. Oftentimes when we're in crisis, we code those in a different spot in our brain, and we go into self-protect mode without even realizing it. So really what I help to do is rewire the whole operating system, the nervous system of the relationship. And in those intensives, we get a full chunk of time to really move some of those deeper patterns that really will push the work ahead. So couples who've experienced a lot of distress find them to be extremely helpful in moving them further along at a faster rate than the traditional hour, 90-minute therapy sessions once a week that has tended to become more commonplace. So when a couple comes in for an intensive, we spend the first little bit of time, about an hour, together, all of us in the room, talking about just the story of the relationship. What's hurting? What was working? What's not working now? Where are some places that we need to identify, as there's conversations oftentimes that are needing to be had, but really no way to have them. So I really am looking at historical stuff, but in the context of the relationship and where we're stuck. And then I kind of craft the day around what that couple needs. Every story is unique. Every couple is different. There is not a plug and play model, and yet there is a path and a way that I walk with couples through their story, understanding and helping them make sense of where they are based on the road and journey that they've walked, and how to navigate that in a different way, to be able to share a new narrative together.
So if you're interested in an intensive, when's the best time? Which phase? We talked about new love, established love, and then maybe this elusive love. Should they wait till they're already in the crisis mode and the elusive to come see you?
I just took a really big breath, Kirk. I tend to get couples who are in high distress. Oftentimes, we always say prevention is cure. Any time is a good time to come in. We can always learn new things about ourselves, being able to identify how we show up relationally, and especially in our close relationships. It can be really hard to have what sometimes feels like a simple conversation when we're experiencing distress, and we've become versions of ourselves we don't know, like, or recognize, and we don't even know what's happening. So having somebody else in the room, having a space where we can share kind of behind the curtain what's really going on from a place of non-shaming, non-blaming, normalizing human behavior, understanding that the ways that we show up in the world make a lot of sense. It really helps couples to feel safe. It helps them to know, hey, there's actually hope here. It's one of my very favorite things about that first day is seeing couples leave with what they have called, hey, I actually feel a sense of hope that I had given up ever being able to work through some of these things. So I think that's why I love it so much. I really believe in the intensive model. We lived overseas with our family for a season, and finding good care can feel really challenging. And especially when you're in crisis, you're feeling you're really needing things to stop hurting pretty quickly. It can feel really discouraging to make phone calls and be booked out for 6 weeks to start the process to only go week by week. And so really having had the experience with a lot of positive experience as a family and as a couple doing intensives, I knew that this was a model that I really believed in, having experienced a lot of change personally, relationally, and then walking couples through this, that it has become a passion of mine to be able to bring this into the relationship counseling space and helping couples be able to find healing, find each other faster, and in a way that is really helping to soothe some of those places that have been hurting for a long time.
This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The information provided by Sharon Hicks and Kirk Shepard should not be considered clinical advice.
For more information about Sharon Hicks and Kintsukuroi Counseling, go to sharonhicks.net.